So next lab, plane mirror ray tracing. New lab, well, not really a lab. Plane mirror ray tracing practice. So this is practice. It doesn't go in your lab notebook. Directions page, and you can refer to this as you work through the video. So first part, very similar to what we did in the first lab. The only difference is here we've got a dot instead of a couple of lines. So we have to be a little bit more proactive in making our decisions. So like before, we're going to make sure as best we can that both sides, or not both sides, excuse me, the back side of the mirror, because that's where it reflects, is on the black line on the paper, and you can see it just a teeny bit. If you're even a little bit off, it'll really mess things up because we're working with angles here, and even a fairly small difference in angles, just checking this other side, both sides look about as good as I'm going to be able to get them. So again, even a small offset from being perfectly along this black line will really mess things up. But the actual experiment is very straightforward. We are going to, again, use the basic optic light source, and like we did before, we're just going to shine it at the mirror. Now the only difference is that instead of the line we have the dot, and we just need to make sure that the light shines over the dot, because it's going to be the dot that we're interested in. And then like before, we're going to take a straight edge, and set it so that our pencil here should trace over the path of the light beam, the light ray, if you will, since it's ray tracing practice. Now you can see there I'm a little bit off, but I'm going to say, well, I can do better. I could erase that, or I could just trace right over it. If you have a couple colored pencils handy, might be a little bit easier for you. So that's a bit better. Now, we're going to need two rays. So I've got one on this side, the far side, and I'm just going to take my light source. And again, you can move things around. I'm going to double check my mirror is still along the black line. And again, if you do this, you're going to block the beam, which doesn't work out too well. And we will shine on like a crazy diamond there, or maybe a crazy triangle, like that. So for this first page, all we should end up with after we've traced our rays is this. Now this was the actual physical path of the light. The light came, reflected off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to trace, again, you see the name there reflects what we're doing. We're going to trace this same path back behind the mirror. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Take this, trace it back. Now, in the real world, when I have my mirror, all right, like ish, I'm not being particular here. If I look, you can see in the mirror, my pencil is kind of pointing. You see the